The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this podcast are their own. They may not be the opinions of this network, their groups, or other organizations they may be involved with.
Let's all go into pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's gone to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee, just couldn't fill that spot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot. It's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's gone to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee, just couldn't fill the spot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peace, News, and Views here on the NOK Network. We are patients everywhere advocating cannabis evolution with me, Kim Cooper, and my awesome joint host, the awesome, amazing Siir Steveo in the house. How's it going, dude? We're on the wrong side. I pointed the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I always mess that up anyway. But everyone welcome the amazing Kim Cooper. She's the awesomest one here. Promise you that. Yeah, how's it been going this week? Everything been going? We've everything been going pretty well. How's it been going out there in the cold tundra of Ontario?
Northern Ontario is actually quite fucking nice these days, and I don't understand it, but I'll take it. It's been an absolutely fantastic winter. I cannot bitch. I cannot complain. We're already into spring. We had rain last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? It's February in Northern Ontario, and it rained.
Well, I don't know if Canadians celebrate Groundhog Day on February 2nd.
Yeah, we do.
Do you?
Yep.
But
Yep.
Our groundhog said it would be an early spring this year. So Woodstock Willie did not see his shadow. So maybe they're right. Maybe we'll get off.
Maybe we have 5 here in Canada going from one coast to the other. We have 5 groundhogs and a lobster. PEI doesn't have a groundhog. They have a lobster that comes out to look for his shadow.
Oh, my goodness. A lobster?
It's a red lobster. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
PEI, what are you going to do? It's in a little island. It's a little dot. And it's part of Canada. Mm-hmm. We love you, PEI, but you have a lobster. Really?
Yeah, here in our town, we have a little square. And the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray was actually filmed here in our town. And so that we have Woodstock Willie that we do every year instead of who was it in the movie? Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool that you're in the town where they filmed that. That is fucking cool.
Yeah. When Ned Ryerson stepped off the curb and kept stepping into that puddle or whatever, or whenever Ned would come up to him, he would step in. They never fixed that. They leave that there just because it was in the movie.
No, it's the memorial hole.
Yep, they leave that there. Everywhere that Bill Murray stayed in town at the bed and breakfast and stuff, they've turned it into museums and stuff, So, yeah, Bill Murray is our local celebrity, even though he only visited here.
Well, that is a very cool piece of trivia indeed, Steve-O. That is fucking Very cool. I love that. I think that is so cool. The guy we've got on tonight's going to talk to us about a little bit of trivia that maybe down there south of the border in the U.S. of A. Y'all may not be aware of. We've got Jesse Lavoie with us tonight, and he's here from TobaGrown. He's going to talk to us about some Canadian laws that are pretty screwed up. We, of course, have legalization here in this nation, but we have one province still remaining that has outlawed our federal right to grow 4 plants. And this guy is like, yeah, no, I'm taking your ass to court. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the fighters like this is exactly the type of stories that we like to hear. And joining us tonight on Peace News and Views is Jesse Lavoie. And please welcome me and join me in welcoming him to the show. Welcome.
Welcome, Jesse. How are you?
Hello, Kim. Hello, Steveo. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, our pleasure. Absolutely, 100%. It's you're in the midst of very interesting conundrum for Manitobans. Canada here, of course, the nation of legalized weed here in North America. We were the first to do it in North America as a nation. But 2 provinces decided, no, we're not doing that. The province of Quebec and the province of Manitoba decided to not allow its citizens their federally mandated right to grow 4 plants. Now, somebody in Quebec took the government to court and had that overturned, and it was deemed unconstitutional for the Quebec government to disallow your right to grow 4 plants. That left Manitoba. And you, Jesse Lavoie, tell us about your journey with the Manitoba government and your fight.
Well, thank you for that intro. And yes, it's, when I first looked into the ban was when it first came into place, right, at legalization 2018. And the reasoning for the ban were just so archaic. It was, as we were talking about before, our lawyers in the matter, Kirk Tusaw and Jack Lloyd, they were the ones who, part of the team that argued for medical cannabis growing to be legalized over 20 years ago. And it was like the Manitoba government copied and pasted the arguments the federal government had 20 years ago, where kids are going to eat it, people are going to sell it into the black market, humidity from it will kill you with mold, fires from grow lights, etc. And it was just this very archaic list of reasons they put the ban into place. And the fines are just the beginning. When you look into the law for taking 4 plants, and again, it's 4 cannabis plants that the federal government has allowed. In Manitoba, if you grow 1 plant, they can put you in jail for a year, they can give you $100,000 fine, and they can take your house if you grow 1 federally legal plant in this province. So it was very archaic.
Those penalties are more severe than the penalties we had for growing a plant pre-legalization.
It was like the closed-minded conservatives in this province. It was like their winning thing with cannabis being legalized. They didn't want it. They didn't want cannabis at all, but they definitely didn't want people growing weed. So they focused all their attention on that ban.
So the decision to not go with the federal legalization in Manitoba, that was not voted on by the people of Manitoba to say we don't want it. It was just decided by the government in Manitoba. Is that right?
Correct. The premier at the time was with the Progressive Conservatives. His name is Mr. Brian Pallister. He put this ban into place, and there was no public, can you give your opinion on it? It's like, no, if you grow 1 plant, we can ruin your life.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, here we are as a nation taking a step forward in our evolutionary thinking when it comes to natural therapy, plant medicines, the use of plants in our lives. As a nation, we are taking a step forward. I mean, the government, they spent millions of dollars on research on this and going from coast to coast with their town hall meetings and, you know, all of these different things. There was they spent over a year on commissioning the latest study. I mean, they did the same thing back in the 70s with the Ledane Commission, and then they did it again pre-legalization here. I mean, how can a single province look at all of that body of work, money, effort, time, and statistics and facts and just look at it and say, yeah, no, we disagree, we're not doing that?
Well, this one is blatant personal desires for the people in power. If put yourselves in their shoes, if you're a closed-minded conservative, doesn't like weed, it's the devil's lettuce your whole life, do you want your neighbor to have a cannabis plant or 2 or 3 or 4 in your, like, right where you can see them, right where you can smell them? That's all they're thinking about when they're like, no, I don't want that, so I'm going to put this ban in place and I won't have to see that because the punishment is so severe, or can be so severe, that people won't want to do it.
And they made the penalty even worse, like Kim said afterward. That's kind of ridiculous. But so there's no dispensaries, nothing. They just don't want, in Manitoba, no legal weed, period.
No legal growing. That's the thing. So you can, for example, comparing it to beer, you can buy your beer at government stores where they get all their taxes and whatnot, but you can't make your own beer. You only have to buy our stuff.
Yeah.
There it is. So you can buy it from me, but you can't do it yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can still go to a store. They have their regular stores. I mean, here it's called the OCS because it stands for Ontario Cannabis Store. Manitoba. What is your regime over there? Is it Manitoba Cannabis Stores?
It's MBLL. So it's the liquors, cannabis, and lotteries all mixed together.
Oh, they went in there. Okay.
But I will say that's one thing they did really well here is the like OCS is very, for example, it's hard for products to get in there, and it's very, much for the big players. But Manitoba, that's one thing they did good, was they make it very open for products and companies to work here. So that's nice. But when it comes to growing, which now it's going on 4 years, it's just crazy at this point that the government has spent all this money defending this ban and they just don't want to let it go. It's just like, people, you're allowed to grow medically here, so you can have hundreds of plants, but you can't grow 4. It's just,
now, weren't they trying to get rid of the med too?
They were. There's definitely groups who are working towards that. The thing they went after was multi-licenses in one house, which, if you're using it for the use that it's supposed to, I'm all for that. So, like, have as many licenses as you need. But there are some bad apples who use that loophole to grow for the gray side. So that's where the light is shining on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of ruins it for everyone.
We have that in every industry, right? I mean, there's bad apples. There's people that are going to cut corners in the food industry. I mean, it doesn't matter what the industry is. There's somebody out there that's going to try and increase their profit margins by cutting corners, sliding the rules, breaking the rules, bending the rules, all these things. We can do more. We can be bigger or stronger or better or faster. I mean, this is part of human nature, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you can't base everything on that, or we wouldn't be allowing anything that's regulated at this point, because there's going to be a segment of the population that is going to try and skirt the system, no matter what system we're talking about, right? So, I mean, you as an individual, I mean, I get there's a whole bunch of people that are pissed about this. But I mean, there's a huge leap from being pissed about this and saying, all right, that's it, I'm taking the government to court. Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. Tell me about that.
That was when the ban came out, I was already working in the medical cannabis industry, and I talked to my boss at the time about it. Like, hey, this is pretty blatant. Like, we have some resources. Why don't we, challenge this? And it was very much that no, get back to work. And it just stuck in my mind. And then when I had the opportunity to work with a very large law firm on a very low price, and you know what, I was just like, you live once, this will be the brick I lay. I've had a lot of admiration for bricklayers like Kirk Tucson, Jack Lloyd, and John Conroy, and the list goes on. And I thought, this is a very blatant, like I mentioned earlier, the reasoning behind their ban was just so bullisome and archaic, and this law firm was willing to give it a go at a reasonable price. And my second boss at the time was like, yeah, you can do that, just leave us out of it. So I was just like, okay, let's go. Family thought I was crazy, but they're, as always, they're supportive. And yeah, long-winded answer.
That may have been what they thought in what was the other province that they had it overturned? Ontario? Quebec. Yeah.
So the thing with sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say they probably thought it was crazy, but to file the lawsuit themselves then, and look, they won. I mean, you almost kind of have a playbook to go by now,
Well, Quebec, they won so like hockey fans here, Kim and Steveo.
Yep.
Yes. So think of a best of 3 series.
Yep.
The people of Quebec won at the time, Queen's Bench.
Okay.
Now King's Bench. The government won the appeal, and then in the Supreme Court of Canada, unfortunately the Quebec government won that, because what Quebec has is a monopoly on cannabis. So the government owns the distribution center, they own the dispensaries, they own the staff, they own everything. So that they were allowed to make the ban to defend their monopoly. But in Manitoba, there's no monopoly. It's public companies, private companies, etc. But in Quebec, you don't go to jail. You don't lose your house.
That's right.
You don't have $100,000 fine thrown at you. That's recriminalization of a legal thing, and that's why the cases in both provinces are very different. But of course, it really sucked when we saw Quebec lose. But when you look at the reason they lost, it has nothing to do with what Manitoba's doing.
Right. Right. So it is constitutionally against your constitutional rights to do this, as the lower court upheld for the peoples of Quebec. But in the higher court, they didn't succeed to gain their right to grow in that province because of completely different reasons. As you say, this monopoly. Quebec is the one province that is so different than any other. They have like their own country that's sort of living within our country.
Mm.
They have special everything, special rights, special laws, special everything, because it's a different language that's a base in an English country, basically. And that sort of makes them stand alone differently than other people. Hey, Jimmy Mead in the house.
Hey, Jimmy.
But with Manitoba, as you say, those laws and those regulations, they don't apply to other provinces such as Manitoba. So Manitoba is now basically a standalone province in this fight on its own, with the latest ruling with Quebec. Your bid to hire the lawyers that you hired, their reputations obviously precede them. Of course, Kirk Tucson was arguing in the Supreme Court already, and then Jack Lloyd hanging a shingle, arguing in his own right for several prominent cannabis cases, but also hanging a shingle with the amazing Paul Lewin at Cannabis and Psychedelic Law. I mean, those two guys in this fight, that's your best shot. There's no doubt.
When going into a a legal fight and you have some like-minded killers out there. It was really, really inspirational for them to A, want to do it, and then B, fly out here twice now and argue on our behalf. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So to get this initiative going and like everything that you're doing, you formed your company, TobaGrown. Tell me about TobaGrown.
So TobaGrown is the brand we got behind because we didn't want it to be, or I should say at the start, I didn't want it to be Jesse Lavoie versus the government. I wanted to be something that the people could hold on to of the province. And,
Right.
right here, and I'll get to this picture later, but that flag, we got that signed by every dispensary and bud tender in the province. And it's just traveled around the province. And when we go into court, we bring that with us. And I say when we go into court because we've gone twice now, and we're in the appeal stage so we're in game 2 of 3 in our case. And so TobaGrown is the brand that we got behind, and then eventually we took that brand to the market here with a not-for-profit product. So we were the first Callis company to launch a not-for-profit cannabis product, where we donated to 6 local charities up to a certain amount, and then the rest went to our legal fees. So you can, at the time, you can literally smoke weed and support the lawsuit. So that was that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
that is very cool the way you did that. Okay, I'm going to launch into your legal market the way you want me to, but every dime I make off of it, I'm going to use to fight your ass.
Our launch was a little delayed. I'm not going to get too much into this because we're very good friends with the board now. But yeah, there was some questions when we first submitted that product where it was like, where's all the funds for this going? It's like, well, to our lawyers to fight you. So yeah, that caused some questioning periods for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, is it anybody's business where your profit margins go? I mean, does any other industry ask you what you're going to do with your profit?
That was definitely part of our responses for sure.
Yeah, a big fat none your business. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? Like playing the stock market and your broker says, well, if I buy these stocks for you and they go up and you make money, what are you going to do with the profit?
Yeah, right.
How is that relevant?
Exactly. They're making their tax on it, so it should be all good.
That's right. As long as my ducks are in a row and I'm supplying everything that I need to supply to get into this industry, the same as anybody else, what I do with the money I make off of it is absolutely none of your business.
A way to look at it is their profit from it is paying their lawyers. So why can't I do the same?
Exactly. I mean, we can have that sit down meeting if you'd like, and you can show me what you do with your profit at the same time.
Well, it's, while doing this, and we've actually come to the 4-year mark of everything starting. At the time, it was the progressive conservatives who had this ban in place.
Yeah.
What I did to get the story out and, to include other groups in the government, I reached out to the NDP, the Liberals, and the Green Party. They're the other parties in this province. And over 2 years ago, wrong side, Mr. Canoe, there we go. Mr. Canoe, who is now Premier Canoe, he was elected this year. He signed our flag 2 years ago and, very much supports the dropping of the ban. So even though we're still going on with court, which could be another year or two, we are very hopeful that now that he is in office, and why we hang this picture as a reminder of that promise, we are very hopeful he's going to drop the ban, so we don't have to go back to court this summer.
That would be the ultimate, right? I mean, now that
Yeah.
there is a new regime in power, them just back up your bus, people. Right? That would
Exactly.
be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, knowing Jack and Kirk the way I do, they want to go to court.
Yes, exactly.
They won't. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm really happy for you," but fuck. You're right, because they want.
They like the scrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'd be very happy for you, but they'd be very disappointed for themselves. They live and breathe that stuff, right?
For sure.
You know, arguing for patients and for people's rights. I mean, in the beginning, of course, it was all for patients, and now it's just for consumers' rights with recreational cannabis being legalized here. Steve-O, how does this compare with issues that you guys have stateside? Are you guys having these kind of struggles with what to legalize and what not to legalize?
Well, you know, over half of our states, well, I would say 80% of our states have a medical program now, but you know, it's all about the taxes that they're fighting over in each state. As far as, you know, throwing people in jail, it's like, you know, like the state of Indiana where Master Rochi's at. You get caught with a joint, they're going to cuff you. They will definitely take you to jail. Every neighboring state around it, however, will sell you weed at tons of dispensaries that are taxed at 38%. And, you know, it's just, there's just a constant struggle, it seems, you know, with the states to get rid of the greediness is what it is. You know, in Illinois, we're allowed to grow 5 plants, 5 inches tall or less, or, you know, if they're greater than 5 inches and you've got a 6th plant, it's $250 fine per plant, and they can decide to take you to jail for that too if they want to. So you know, federal legalization, from what I've learned from Canada, is not what we want either. We need to have it not rescheduled from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. We need to have it descheduled altogether. It shouldn't even be on there. Just like Kim says, it's a fucking tomato, you know, and it should be regulated just like it. But the problem is, you know, it's something that you know, we can enjoy and not pay tax on. And I fully believe that if, you know, they decided, okay, you can grow 10 plants at all times, but you've got to pay us our yearly tax, which is our medical card in the first place, you know, so they just keep coming up with more and more fees. And, you know, it's just getting ridiculous, you know, but
It's about the money.
yeah,
it's 100%. It's about the money.
Yeah, and then still putting people in jail over it. That is crazy. I can't believe that you'll even put me in jail if I buy it from a dispensary, come out to the car, open it up, finally get to look at it and smell it, and then put it back in the bag. If I get pulled over, they open the bag and see that that's been opened and I'm traveling with it and I can reach it, they can take me to jail for that. And I just bought it legally. So, you know, there's just all these little things that they use to still try to fill the jails, you know, with minor stuff. Is it like that in Canada? Do they pretty much don't enforce, you know, any type of arrests over marijuana unless it's like something insane? Or do they still...
most jurisdictions have ordered their police forces to lay back on it. But as for actual laws on the books, if they choose to enact on these laws on the books, then yeah, we have all that with the carry rights. I mean, it's got to be stowed away from the driver. It cannot be accessible to a driver of the vehicle. So if you're like in a car, you're supposed to put it in your trunk, you know, and like all this kind of stupid shit. It is very very arbitrary for the most part.
Mhm.
But the majority of jurisdictions have told their police forces, like, we don't fucking care. So just don't.
Yeah.
You know, but there are, of course, some that are like, no, we're playing
Well, in Illinois,
town.
except for a picture, we can't even smell the terpenes. We can't inspect it, do anything. It's all behind bulletproof glass, and you're not supposed to be able to see it until you get home.
Yeah.
And
well, what's it like in Manitoba?
Yeah.
Is it because I know here in the beginning that's what it was like, but then sort of the stores evolved within the first year. You had the sort of glass display cases in the middle of the store that'll have the containers with the magnifying glass, so you can like look through the glass and then look through the magnifying glass and kind of see the bud, but that's about as close as you're going to get to it. Do they have that there in Manitoba as well?
They do have that, but our windows are still covered, which, you know, a lot of store owners make the valid point that if anything's going wrong in there, if they're being held up, or if there's whatever's going on, you can't see in there. So it's positive and negative for both sides.
Yeah. I mean, the blacked out windows, the covered windows, nobody can see inside the store from the street is the idea with that. They want everything to be black. But like you say, what if somebody goes in there to rob them? Nobody on the street walking by knows that there's anything wrong. All you got to do is throw the lock on the door and now you're done.
Good to go. Yeah.
I mean, that's dangerous.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it's some of the arbitrary laws are, they're just stupid. Now, another thing that I really struggle with is the THC levels allowed in edibles and concentrates, topicals even. Having these these sort of limits for an edible. Edibles, our government dropped the ball on this. I mean, 10 milligrams, me as a patient consumer, I mean, you come from the patient consumer world, Jesse, so you'd be very, very aware of what patient consumers levels and tolerance levels are like and what we consume in that. 10 milligrams for an edible in a store, I'd be spending $3,000 a week.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I mean, we're the same here. We're allowed to have 100 milligrams at maximum in a package, but they can't be more than 10 milligrams per piece.
Oh, we don't even have that. Ours are 10 milligrams across the board. Like, no,
wow.
That's it. You're done, bud. 10 milligrams.
Well, what's that one piece cost? What's that 10 milligram piece run?
Depends on what it is.
But $10?
Fairly pricey. Yeah, you know, $5 to $10.
Wow, that's nuts. Oh man, I need to get into the edible business in Canada. Holy smokes. Man, I mean, I take 150 milligrams every night before bed of homemade that I do. And, you know, I couldn't even imagine having to spend that. And, you know, not to toot my own horn, but I think that my whole plant oil that I use, you know, is probably just as strong as anything I'd buy from them, you know, but it's all about processing too.
It is. It's a messed up situation. Jesse's doing what he can to change things in Manitoba and then beyond, hopefully. And the fight continues here in Canada, trying to sort out federal legalization on a national level here in Canada. Thanks for tuning in with us, everybody down there in the US of A. Catching up with Jesse Lavoie from TobaGrown. And I'm looking and I'm seeing it's medication time.
That's right. It's break time. While we take a few minutes to hear about a few of the other shows here in our lineup here on the NOK Network. So stick around.
Absolutely. We'll be back with more about TobaGrown and Toba Rolled at about 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Hang in there. Are you frantically pounding away on your keyboard these days to discuss your views, share your passions, teach a skill, or share a craft to the masses on social media? Podcasting is a bright light that can help you reach a diverse audience. And NOK Network can help. Even if you have no experience, NOK Network will work with you to develop your content to air on our diverse network to reach a wide audience, allowing us all to grow together. Podcasts are aired on multiple platforms simultaneously, across social media and streaming sites, live through our network. Contact us and let's chat about how we can help you develop your podcast and join the NOK team. Are you a Northern Ontario resident searching for credible information on cannabis as a medicine? No Sir is here to help. Established in 2013, Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources is here for you. No Sir Director Kim Cooper brings you 45 plus years experience utilizing cannabis as a medicine and is spreading the education across the North. Activism, resources, referrals, and more at No Sir. Don't be a jackass. Say no sir to cannabis propaganda with No Sir. Find us at www.nocer.ca.
Put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim's social media page, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses in life and put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Welcome back to the show in our regular program.
And we are back from our medication session here on Peace News and Views.
We hope you'll tune into one of the many other programs that were highlighted during the break, are produced and aired here on the NOK Network. Many thanks to our sponsors as well. No Sir and the 710 Stoner Games. Looking forward to the games this year, man. Things are picking up with the Stoner Games. We've got the new game is all mapped out now. We're on our drive now for sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor us here at the 710 Stoner Games, we accept cash donations as well as product donations, swag, stickers, specials, and all kinds of stuff to give away to our racers, spectators, and participants in the annual 710 Stoner Games. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Here. Epic here. Big announcement coming up for the Stoner Games, probably in about a week to 10 days. So you're gonna want to stay tuned for that. We got
Stay tuned for that. Definitely. And that'll be held at is it Kist Acres? Is that what you call it?
Kist Acres, KIST, Kist Acres. First 2 letters from my name and the first 2 letters from my husband's name. Yeah. Kim and Steve Acres. All right. We are going to get back into our conversation with tonight's exciting guest. We got Jesse Lavoie in the house.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good to be back.
Welcome back.
I mean, TobaGrown, that's a huge initiative for like one dude to take on. Do you have a team now? Is this developed into a team sport, so to speak? Or, I mean, it can't just be you standing there with, these like bigwig lawyers. You got people backing you? What's going on with that?
I have a very good support network, and we have a good team built here. And on our social media at TobaGrown, spelled out right here, TOBA grown. You can see our whole team. Everyone's been on social media with us since day one, and I'm very, very grateful for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And that rolled into rolling. You have to do something to make some money. So I want to dive back into that a little bit more and expand on that conversation that we touched on. What a brilliant idea to sell weed in the legal market, to make money, to sue the legal market.
Yeah, so when we launched that not-for-profit product, we had to use a processor that was not in Manitoba, so processor, the one who packages it, and the shipping cost just ate into so much of the margin, which was the donation. All the profits went to the charities and our cause in the form of legal bills. And during all that, I realized, okay, there's not really a Manitoba processor at the time who could help all these local growers, because the local growers had to ship it out of province and have it processed and brought back in. So we saw an opportunity there, and we worked with all the local growers who were legally licensed, and formed a syndicate where we brought everyone's product into one building and processed and distributed there. And that's grown since.
So you're advancing the industry.
Yes, I feel we did.
Absolutely. Well, there wasn't any processing, and now there is, and that's thanks to you.
Yeah, exactly. There's big publicly traded companies who were trying to do it, and we were the first, not like mom and pop, if you want to call it. We were all lived in the general area, came together, no public money in our pockets, and just went to town. That's awesome.
Anybody out there that knows me and any of our followers and stuff, they all know very, very hardcore grassroots. It's just the space that I choose to live in. And I'm very anti-establishment, always have been. I'm very disappointed by this nation's legalization. I mean, I'm 61 years old, and I've been fighting for this for a very, very long time. Over 40 years of my life, I've been fighting for this. And, when legalization was on the horizon, I was extremely excited. That commission that they put out there, and they came back with their recommendations, and I'm reading through these recommendations and pages and pages and pages of what they would came back with their recommendations. And I'm reading it, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop and all that, tear it apart, and I'm reading it, and I'm going, oh, this is good. This is good. Oh, why, if we do this is great. Oh, this is what they're going to do. The problem is, our government took that report and they didn't fucking do it. They went, oh yeah, looks good. And they threw it over their shoulder and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this instead. And we wound up with what we have, which is not at all what was recommended. So yeah, I've taken issue with our legal market, but I'm encouraged when I see true grassroots peoples like yourself going in there and saying, look, I'm only in here so I can take your money and use that money to fight your ass. That's exciting to me.
Yeah.
It definitely, it's taken years off my life for sure. All the stress, all the, believe me, it's a beast of an opponent to take on a government body at all, especially when they're set in their ways.
Yeah, I mean, this is a monumental task that you have taken on, my friend. Wow, I am blown away and filled with hope.
Well, I appreciate all your support, and watch for some fireworks over the next few months here. And I'd love to come back on when we have some good news, either from the government folding or us winning in the summer there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have a court date right now for the future? What's the next step?
Next step is our documents are due in April, and then we file. So once our documents are filed, we go back into court this summer. And that's for game 2, which is the appeal.
So in the first game, what was the verdict?
Well, it wasn't good for us. The government won. The judge at the time sided with the Supreme Court in regards to the monopoly. So we saw a lot of holes in that judgment, and that's why we're very confident in the appeal. But hopefully, our current government keeps their promise.
Yeah, absolutely. This happens a lot in these kind of constitutional challenge type fights that we've seen play out in the courts, especially in amongst the cannabis community. I mean, you can go back to Allard, and you can go back to Terry Parker Jr.'s case, and Matt Murnaugh. And I mean, all of these people are patients that have taken our governments to court in different parts of this nation to advance our cannabis laws here and patients' rights. And in almost every one of those cases, the lower court sides with the government.
Yeah, it's they kind of band together.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't take that as an indication at all. I think it's almost expected that that's going to be the outcome from a lower court, but we have to kind of go through that first before we can get to the next court that's actually means something.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so every step of the way, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, court process is it always blows my mind whenever I hear about how, it's always a couple months in between this and that just to prepare this or prepare that, and it's still nothing. It's got to be frustrating for you, because obviously every minute that the lawyer works on the case costs more as well, so.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's Jack and Kirk have done a great service to us with what they're charging, but at the end of the day, there's fees on their side, there's time, there's travel, there's stress, there's all this stuff, and from the government side now, it's taxpayer dollars that go into this. So our hope is that the NDP won't fund lawyers to defend a conservative ban. Hoping politics comes to the rescue here. Otherwise, we have court in the summer. 6 to 12 months is when you'll hear back a verdict. And then there's Supreme Court after that. And then there's lobbying, and all that stuff can be avoided if this happens.
Years. I mean, we have a playbook to look at, with Allard and with Smith. Murnaugh, Parker, all of these cases, years and millions combined. Like it's absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That regular people like yourself, and all the names that I just mentioned previously are all individuals that were patients that took our government to court on one level or another and advanced cannabinoid therapy here in this country. But it's insane that regular people have been the ones that have had to take these steps.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm happy to lay the brick, but I probably won't be laying any more bricks after this. I'm one and done on the legal side.
This is a pretty big fucking brick, so I think you're good with that.
Well, and that's the thing. You're going to be recognized forever for the work that you've done. The respect that you've gained from your community. It's just it's something that's going to follow you forever. One day, I'm going to be like, man, I interviewed that guy right before it all happened, man, and I'm going to be puffing my chest out. I'm proud of the work that you've done, man, because like it takes someone, like if I lived there, I would feel like my rights were being infringed on. But what could I do as just a regular guy? Probably nothing. But you have taken everything, turned it into like a business model to turn the profits around on them and everything else. And boy, you've done some really amazing things, man. Real smart shit too. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that have helped, of course, but man,
Yeah, the team we have, it's wouldn't happen without everyone. I really appreciate you saying that, and I really like your show, and I really appreciate you having me on, and I'd love to come back on at some point.
Oh, we have to.
Absolutely. So, I mean, outside of the obvious, your hope for the future is a win on this case. But outside of the obvious, say this all pans out and however it turns out, it goes away. What's your plan or goal for the future after this?
Good question.
I want to grow 4 plants. That's definitely that's what we're thinking about, winning this lawsuit, and that's it. Whatever happens afterwards happens, but it could either end in the next few months or it could end years from now. So we're just fully focused on that.
So I guess the word out there to Manitobans right now is contact your new premier. Tell him what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy reminder.
Yeah, contact them on behalf of yourself as well as TobaGrown. 100%. I'm looking forward to this case. I'm looking forward to this premier coming out and saying, yeah, so we're not going to do that anymore. And we're going to save Jesse Lavoie a whole shit ton of money. That'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Final thoughts, Steve-O?
Well, no, I mean, I pretty much summed up a minute ago. I'm impressed, man. It's like you're at the top of the mountain, man. Just keep pushing, and pretty soon, you're gonna meet all your goals. So just keep it.
I appreciate both of you, and thank you for saying that. And
I'm gonna follow this, man. I'm real interested, and we definitely have to have you back. This is awesome.
Yeah. We'll be getting you back on for an update as soon as it's update time. You're going to have to let our viewers in on the deal and what the verdict is and what's going on in the future, both here in Canada as well as south of the border. We are just about out of time, and I know you're a very, very busy guy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and talk to us tonight and give us an update about everything going on over at Manitoba and with TobaGrown. But right now I'm looking and I'm seeing we're at that time. It's shout out time. Cue the chickens! This is a great spot for you to give all your plugs, give your shout outs, plug your websites, peoples, thanks, all that stuff.
Well, big thanks to Kirk Tusaw, Jack Lloyd. Check them out. They're all over social media. And yeah, TobaGrown, bottom left of the screen and on the picture behind me. But check us out on all social platforms. Really appreciate all your time.
Awesome. Excellent. TobaGrown over on Instagram as well as Facebook. I found you on Twitter. I found you on LinkedIn. You're all over the place. Just Google TobaGrown and you'll be able to find them. No problem at all. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight on Peace News and Views. And we are the podcast focused on the use of cannabis, both as medicine and recreationally. It's me and my awesome joint host over there, Steveo in the house.
And thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you again next week with another very special guest, just like Jesse, here on Peace News and Views on the NOK Network. Good night, everyone. Peace.
Night, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.
Push the button. Where is it?
Let's all go into pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's gone to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee, just couldn't fill that spot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot. It's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's gone to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee, just couldn't fill the spot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot. I got $100 bill, man, you can keep your pills, man. It's all going to pot.